Welcome back guys to another video, and today I'm going to be sharing with you 5 tips for better mixes. Now the first tip is going to be cutting and trimming your audio files. Now when you get your audio files, you're going to see them have tails, and now it's very important for you to trim them so that you don't add noise in the song. Now you have to trim all of them. It is a painstaking process, but it is worth it in the end. You're going to end up with very high quality mix after trimming your tails in your recording. Now the second tip is going to be grouping or bussing. Now this means putting together similar sounds that require similar processes in the same mixer track. For example, your vocals. When you mix your vocals, your lead vocals, your background vocals, and you have them sitting perfectly in the mix, sometimes you need to compress them all together, like some parts of the song where you have the lead vocal and the background vocals playing together. You need some compression on that to hold everything together. So like I've done here, I have my vocal bus here. I just have an EQ and 2 compressors here. Now you can choose to do whatever you want on your mix bus. You can route your drums to a particular bus or your drums for similar processing. You can add distortion for harmonic enhancements. You can compress your drums, make them hit harder. That is the essence of grouping and bussing, and it also helps for organization. When you are far into the mix, it helps you to locate those elements, and you can actually mute some sections of the song easily. You can mute your whole drums, or you can mute your whole vocals. Now the third tip is going to be gain staging. Now gain staging is a very widely talked about topic, and most times producers and engineers, young engineers actually, they overlook this concept. Gain staging is really important. Gain staging is basically setting the levels of your song so that you avoid clipping in your master. Now gain staging is very easy to do, and it is important for you to gain stage because some plugins actually don't have the capacity for signals that are too hot, signals that are over. Okay, one time I was reading and it said signals, some plugins do not do well with signals over minus 15 dB. Now some people mix their songs, their drums hitting -6, -5. That will lead to clipping in the end. And in mixing, whatever you do not have to clip unless you are going for that effect, but that is not a really desirable effect to go after. But gain staging is really important to help you manage the amount of headroom you have on your master, and that is really important for your mastering engineer because he's going to make use of the headroom you leave after mixing. So gain staging is really important also, and it will change the quality of your mixes by far. Once you start gain staging, your mixes will move to a whole nother level. So you have to practice gain staging. And the fourth tip for this video is going to be mixing in mono. Now mixing in mono helps to detect overlapping frequencies easier. You can hear compression easier in mono because it collapses the stereo field and you can only hear one. It sort of brings the left and the right together, and then you can only hear that precise. I like to think of it as like a dot in the middle, especially when you're with headphones, but also with speakers it works also. If you can use a mono speaker, for example the Auratone, the Auratones are nice for mixing in mono, getting your mixes nice. And you can Also gets better frequency separation in mono, because you can actually hear those frequencies better in mono. It arranges itself. You have the highs actually go up and the lows actually come down, and then you have to focus on the mids. Mixing, mostly you focus on the mids. Once your mids are clear, the mix is half done. And also mixing in mono, most times you hear your songs, or you hear songs back in mono. The only time you hear songs in stereo are when you use headphones, or when you're in front of high quality speakers. But the rest of the times, your phone, when you hear it from the radio, they're playing back in mono. So it makes sense to mix in mono, to get your mixes right in mono. But you mustn't mix the whole song in mono. How I like to do this is I like to alternate between mono and stereo. Now it is very easy to switch to mono, and some DAW actually have buttons for it. Like this is Studio One, and you can see over here, this is the mono button. When I click this, it's a mono. So I can also click from here, or I can use one of my favorite plugins, the Ozone Imager, here, and I can just click on mono. And there's loads of other apps out there also that can collapse stereo to mono. Now the fifth and final tip today would be to get your recordings good from the source. Now some people have really terrible recordings but expect to have wonderful mixes. Now here are tips on how to get better recordings. First off, you need to watch the volume on your preamp. You don't set your preamp too high, otherwise it might clip, and once the signal clips, that's it. The recording is bad. You have to record again. And another nice tip would be to record in a quiet environment. I cannot say this enough. You need to record in a quiet environment and capture only your vocals. Now another tip would be to turn off fans and ACs while recording. These appliances add low frequency rumble to your signal, and it is not really nice for recording. Now another good tip would be to get good cables. Sometimes your cables are the culprits, and you can mess up your recordings if you don't have good cables. If you have faulty cables that have electrical sounds in them, they would bleed into the recording. Now it's one thing for you to have these tips, and it's another thing for you to actually implement them. Thank you very much for watching. Till next time.